Richard Wolff is a prominent Marxist economist who has responded to the idea that employers took great risk in setting up the business, so are justified to own it. Let's see if his arguments stand to scrutiny.
You know, if you grow up in the United States, you hear often from employers or people who have been bamboozled by them that, gee, the employer takes a risk. He deserves some extra, some profit, because he took a risk. I always found this extraordinary. He did take a risk, but so did everybody else. You idiot.
True, but the employer has a higher level of risk, as I will explain later. Also, I know this is a nitpick, but I don't think it is wise to yell idiot after such a point.
What? The worker who moved into this state to get that job took a risk that the job would be there, that the job would be bearable, that the job would pay enough. Took a risk. Takes a risk every day he comes in. He doesn't know whether at the end of the day he'll be told not to show up tomorrow. He bought a house based on the risk that that income would be coming. Risk everybody takes.
Sure, they both take many of the same risks, but employers face a much higher level of risk than employers. On average, a business doesn't become profitable until the third year. Obviously, there are some companies with low overheads that can be almost profitable from day one, but traditional businesses, like leisure and retail, need a lot of capital investment, but can only be profitable years later. Due to this, the employer doesn't have a guaranteed income, but the employee does. In addition, businesses face low survival rates. In fact, after only 1 year, 79.6% of American small businesses survive. After 5 years, only 49.6% survive. After 10 years, only 33.6%, and after 20 years, only 20.3% survive. This data was on businesses starting in 1994, and this trend has continued to the present day.
The difference between the employer and the employee is the employee takes the risk and then somebody else makes the decisions. The employer takes a risk, but he's got all the power to shape whether that risk works out. And when he has trouble, you know where he shifts the burden? He fires the workers. Because he doesn't want to bear the cost of the risk he took that didn't work out.
Actually, the difference is that the employer makes the decisions and that the worker has wage stability as mentioned before. And if he has trouble, the employer will always have to bear the cost, regardless of firing the worker, since the cost of investing into the business cannot be reversed. And the employee didn't bear the cost of investment. Moreover, do you know how business owners keep themselves afloat for years without profit? They go into debt. According to Fundera, 70% of small businesses have outstanding debt. This includes 21% of small business debt, ranging from $25,000 to $100,000, and 17% being under $25,000. This means if the business fails, the business owner will have to pay off the debt without any profits, which the employee doesn't have to do. And in spite of the high debt levels, only 48% of small businesses have their financing needs met.
If you want to reward risk, all the workers get a piece of that. You're not the specialist on risk. Stop it. In fact, your risk is less because you're rich. You take a part of your money, you lose that part. It doesn't shake you. But the worker, he has no wealth to hold back, has no savings account. The risk he takes is if he gets fired, he's lost. You're not.
Okay, I couldn't find the average wealth of business owners, since it is separate from income, but I doubt they are as wealthy as Wolff claims, especially when considering net profit margins. From 1999 to 2012, average net profit margins for small, medium and large businesses ranged from 1.5% to 1.7%. Now the average revenues look good, but when assuming businesses operate at the highest margin of 7%, the profits are quite low. Most businesses, particularly 77.9%, earn less than $28,000. Can you honestly tell me businesses aren't shaken by this? Bottom line, it is better to be a worker than a business owner. Furthermore, when it comes to workers and savings, 70.7% of Americans have a savings account, with the median savings being $3,500, so workers aren't exactly lost. P.S. This source also cites the stat about how 40% can't afford a $400 emergency, but that just means they don't have the money in their savings account in that moment. They can still borrow from the bank to cover the emergency.
Why do you, each of you sitting here, accept a system in which you go to work and you produce a surplus for some employer who decides what the hell he or she wants to do with it.
Ah yes, the so-called surplus value of labor extracted by the greedy capitalists, except the product was also created by capital machinery, which was bought by the business owner. And the establishment and advertising that the business owner invested in also convinced the customer to be willing to buy the product for that price. Labor is important, but it's not everything.
And we go to work every day where there is a king who tells you what to do, and you better take your head off, or you're fired.
Considering that king took the risk of high investment costs, debt, and no profit for years, as well as still pay you, it is reasonable to give some respect. Also, what is it with you and feudalism? Anyway, I'm going to do a part 2 where I respond to another Wolff video, again about business risk, and might get help from my friend Dropware, who himself made a Wolff response, which is linked below. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give a like and comment, as it really helps my video in the YouTube algorithm. And if you like economics and political commentary, consider subscribing. Maybe follow me on my Twitter, and see you later.